Hi everyone, this is Everett, and welcome to my Startup Backpacker channel. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first video on YouTube. Hooray! And I just wanted to give you an introduction about myself and my new YouTube channel, and briefly explain on my new backpacking journey I'm planning to go to. Just a quick introduction about myself. I've been always into startups from when I was a college student, when I used to work for a Japanese startup as an intern. And ever since then, I always wanted to do something related to startups. And I decided to get into JETRO, a Japanese governmental institution, to support Japanese startups to expand overseas. A quick update on my life: I decided to quit JETRO and go on a backpacking trip. Well, the experience I got at JETRO was amazing, while getting to meet fabulous entrepreneurs from Japan and even people all around the world, while running accelerator programs, supporting startups to exhibit at a massive international startup event, and providing connections with companies and investors overseas. So I really had a fabulous experience, and I really enjoyed meeting amazing startups in Japan. But however, this really led me to want to know more about how the startups in other countries are like, and really made me want to go on a new adventure. So within a couple of months, I will leave Japan for a backpacking trip, and I will go on this trip for at least a year. So my main purpose of this trip is to really check out the startup ecosystems in each country. And I also thought it would be great if I could share what I learn and what I see and experience during this trip with you guys on YouTube. And I'm gonna be going to many countries, and I think it's really beneficial, especially for companies, startups that are interested in potentially going overseas, or if you're thinking of doing a startup related job, or if you're going to maybe work with a startup in the future. I will make sure to have Japanese subs on my videos for my Japanese friends and people who work for Japanese companies. So I have three main points on why I really had to leave my workplace and go on this trip right now. One is that I myself is really curious and genuinely want to know on what's actually going on in the startup ecosystems overseas. Well, secondly, I really want to share, the right information on what's really going on with the startups and the startup community and the ecosystem in each countries. Since we do have many reports and data to learn more on the ecosystems and what's going on overseas, it's very helpful. But on the other hand, there's always a limit to it, especially because when it comes to startups, it's very important to actually get qualitative information and get into the community. And there are a lot of information that are shared in only closed communities as well. So that's one thing I really want to get. So I really want to get qualitative information, not just quantitative data with only numbers. And this is really something I want to share with you, my viewers. And lastly, I really wanted to network and get connections with people from overseas to really learn. And at the same time, I really want to connect the people who I meet in each countries and my friends in Japan as well. So that's one thing I really want to provide. Well, this is going to be very, very exciting, especially because I know startup ecosystems are flourishing in each countries. And every time I used to meet with different startups from other countries at work, I've been astonished by differences. There was only around 200 unicorns in 2017, but now in 5 to 6 years we have more than 1,200 unicorns. And I find that really crazy and amazing at the same time. US has around 700, but the rest is all over the world, and many startups are emerging from different countries. So that's something I really wanted to look into. So now I'll get into my detailed plans on my trip. Firstly, I will start going on this trip in October, so a month later from now, because I have a little more work to do and prepare for this trip. I'll leave Japan for at least a year. So I'm thinking of going to roughly 40 to 50 countries. I will mainly go to places that have a flourishing startup ecosystem. So the order would be like this. I will first leave Japan, obviously, and then get to Southeast Asia and other Asian countries like Taiwan, China, Korea. And then after that, I will go to places like India, Bangladesh, and after that, the Middle East. And then after Middle East, I'm going to Africa. I'm actually really excited to go to Africa as well because I know it's flourishing. I've read many information online, but I'm sure there's a lot more going on. So I'm very excited about that. So after that, I'm going to Eastern Europe because obviously they have many decent engineers and entrepreneurs. So that's definitely something I should look into. And after that, I will go to South America. So countries like Brazil, Peru, Colombia, etc. And then after that, I'll go to Mexico and then maybe the US. I'm still thinking on whether I could actually go to countries in Western Europe, the Nordic countries, the US, Australia, because their living expenses are a lot higher, and I really don't want to be bankrupt in the first place. So I'm going to start with countries that have relatively lower, living expenses. So that's one thing I have to keep in mind, especially because I'm using my savings from what I earned from working for 2 years. So that's how I'm going to actually travel. But what I'm actually going to do in these ecosystems is that, firstly, I'll definitely talk to the key players of the ecosystem and give them questions that would really deepen my understanding of what's actually going on there. Definitely going to startup events as well, because startup events, they're good when you really want to meet a lot of people, and it'll be great if I can actually make good friends there so that I could hang out with them and talk more casually on what's actually going on there on startups. I'm thinking of giving interesting questions like, what's the social status of being a startup founder like in the country, or what's a good way to do sales and get product market fit in the country, or if they're actually interested in doing some sort of business in Japan or expanding their business overseas. So questions like that. I still have time, about a month until I leave Japan. So I'll keep doing my research on foreign startup ecosystems before I leave the country and contact people to schedule meetings. I'll make sure to share my learnings on this channel before I leave Japan. So I will keep you updated with how I'm actually preparing for this trip. Well, lastly, please let me know if there's something you want me to ask or do during the trip. I'd be happy to know what you think. So please feel free to give a comment below. I'll be really happy if you could do that. Thanks guys for watching my first video on YouTube. Stay tuned, and I'll see you again at the Startup Backpacker channel.